Me and Chris over here are here to talk to you today about the benefits of legalizing marijuana. Marijuana is one of the most widely used drugs today. In fact, according to the survey done by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, over 1.95 million Californians admit to having used marijuana in the past month. However, most of this marijuana was not obtained legally. Though legal for medical reasons in 14 states such as California, marijuana is still illegal on a federal level. Our proposition is that California should legalize the sale of marijuana to persons over 18 years of age for a wide array of reasons, including A, legalizing marijuana will cut funding from drug cartels and the violence that has ensued. B, the war on drugs is an expensive and failing policy. And C, the legalization of marijuana will prove economically advantageous to California. Today, the legal market for marijuana in the United States is estimated to be over $100 billion a year. Tons upon tons of illegal marijuana is smuggled across the border by Mexican drug cartels and sold for huge amount of profits by street gangs, terrorists, and other organized crime factions. It has become such a problem that Antonio Costa, Executive Director of Drugs and Crime for the UN, says that drug trafficking and the violence committed by its associated organized crime is the biggest threat to the public safety in the Americas. Legalizing marijuana to Californians over the age of 18 will drastically reduce the funding to these cartels. The huge amount of profits made by growing and selling weed illegally is staggering. According to the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, Mexican drug cartels make at least 60% of their profits selling marijuana in the United States. These profits line the pockets of some of the most violent people on earth, whose regard for human life and public safety is abhorrently absent. Our public safety remains at high risk of these cartels as long as we continue to provide them with an abundance of money. The legalization of marijuana will not only cease this incredible amount of money flowing to the cartels, but also divert the profits to the state. Drug-related violence is a serious problem inside and outside the United States. The money obtained by selling drugs to American users is used to buy weapons from Americans, bribe politicians, and hire countless thugs to do the dirty work. New York Times reports that since 2006, over 40,000 murders have been directly linked to the Mexican drug cartels, including over 15,000 in 2010 alone. And while the drug cartels seem to be flourishing and evolving, our attempts to stop them are not. The war on drugs has been a constant uphill struggle for the United States since it was first introduced in the late 60s. The fact of the matter is, the current war on drugs is an expensive and vain policy. Now, a quick show of hands. How many people could get a gram of weed by tomorrow? By the time it took you guys to raise your hands, the government has already spent $2,000 trying to stop drugs from entering the United States. According to the Office of National Drug Control Policy, the U.S. federal government spent over $15 billion on the war on drugs last year, not including state or local expenses. That's about $500 a second. In accordance to the drug war clock, as of November 18, 2011, that amount has more than doubled to $36 billion and counting for federal, state, and local expenses. But where are the results from all this? Billions and billions of dollars of illegal drugs are still being smuggled in daily, as guns and money are being smuggled right back to where they came from. All the while, our police forces are being overworked and misplaced, while our prisons are being filled with nonviolent drug offenders. For example, in 2008, police arrested over 858,000 people for marijuana drug violations. Of those arrests, 89% of them were for possession only. Is this what we're spending the billions on, to catch the petty possessors? Why is it with so many arrests made that the drug cartels are still winning? We seem to be only catching and condemning minor offenders, and we are merely clipping the nails of the hand that is the drug cartel. As it stands now, our war on drugs is a vain and pathetic attempt at halting the flow of drugs into our nation. By legalizing marijuana, we would effectively reprioritize our goals, and with legalized marijuana, the war on drugs can focus its sights on harder, more dangerous drugs such as cocaine and heroin. Legalizing marijuana will also provide billions of dollars in tax revenue and other potential markets. Already, California collects up to $100 million in sales tax from the distribution of medical marijuana, with an estimated $1.2 to $1.4 billion to be collected every year if legalized. According to the Tax Foundation, California enforces taxes as follows: an 8.7% sales tax, a 46-cent tax on every gallon of gas, an 84-cent tax on every 20 pack of cigarettes, a 20-cent tax on every gallon of beer and wine, and a $3.30 tax on every gallon of spirits. Legalizing marijuana will allow California to tax and profit from them just as much as these. A proposed $50 an ounce excise tax would bring in over $900 million a year, plus an additional $360 million from sales tax. With the California State Treasury reporting a current debt of $35.7 billion, the state's starving for the tax money that marijuana will generate. The legalization of marijuana will not only bring in tax revenue, but it opens up an entirely new market to California. A study done by Harvard professor Jeffrey Miron found that by ending marijuana prohibition and enforcing a system of taxation similar to that of alcohol and tobacco will result in a $10 to $14 billion annually. To put that in perspective, milk and cream, which is California's second biggest cash crop, only brings in about $7.3 billion a year. The potential legal sales of marijuana could double that. A whole industry can be based upon the legalization of marijuana. Take tourism, for example. If legalized, California would be the first state to do so, creating a huge buzz and a flood of tourism. We've seen it in places such as Amsterdam. In addition to an increase in tourism, many marijuana-related industries will occur, such as coffee houses and hundreds of paraphernalia companies. California NorMal estimated that these spin-off markets will generate up to 110,000 jobs and over $3.5 billion in worker salaries. Marijuana also creates hemp, which hemp is one of the most underestimated plants in the animal kingdom and has over 25,000 industrial uses. Such as the seeds produced by the plant contain hemp oil, which has the highest concentration of polyunsaturated fats in the plant kingdom at around 80%. Those fats are the kind that are good for you and are better, and it's a better oil than canola or peanut oil. The fibers in the plant are very strong and have potential aerospace uses. And finally, we have what's called the heart of the plant, or the woody stalk. And it can be used as a cheaper, more ecological alternative to paper. It can be used in the creation of plastics and can even power our cars. These new markets will create thousands of jobs and billions of worker wages. And the hemp industry is expected to rival or succeed the California cotton industry. But these markets will never be available until it is legalized. In conclusion, the legalization of marijuana for Californians over the age of 18 would effectively sever the funding of Mexican drug cartels. It would allow for a more effective effort to stop harder drugs entering our borders and drastically improve the current economic crisis.
You guys might want to wait for the applause till the end of the whole debate, but I appreciate the enthusiastic support that you are giving your classmates.